I'm Honey Novick. Thank you so much for being here. Whoever was in charge of the weather,
I know.
thank you for that, even though Bill would have liked to have been here, so anyway. Okay, so this is Literarty, and I've had the privilege through the St. Clair Arts Network for, I don't know, over a decade, to be able to introduce poetry to our neighborhood, and they've been very supportive and very great, and they've just been the kind of neighbors that you know exist. So having said that, I also want to acknowledge the land, that this land and territory is given to us as stewards. They are from our relatives, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat, and the Mississaugas of the New Credit. And as citizens and as people who respect the arts, we too respect this obligation that was given to us to care for the land and for each other. So, having said all of that, I think we should just do this. So because he requested to be on first, that almost sounds like who's on first, but anyway, it's George. This is Professor George Elliott Clarke, who yes. And my relationship to George is that I first met you in another park when there was a ceremony honoring Gwendolyn McEwen's bust downtown, and you talked about socialism.
Wow.
Do you remember that? Baines, you did a poem based on
Hardy Old Baines.
Hardy Al Baines.
Hardy Old Baines, yeah.
Yes, and I knew Hardy Al, and I just went, what? And then years later, I had the privilege of being a member of the League of Canadian Poets, and everybody else intimidated me except you. So I decided to be your groupie. It was at the
Thank you, honey. Thank you.
Thank you because it was easy for me to just say, "Oh, I'm George's groupie," than it was to be like friends with everybody else. You know what I mean? Like they scared me. So so that was all right. I gave myself an identity, and away we went. And then you were encouraging people in the city. You were working as poets, Toronto City Poet Laureate, under the Rob Ford government. So you have this familial relationship with Jill. And George was putting these concerts on at City Hall, and somehow he took a chance with me and gave me an opportunity to sing and do poetry at City Hall. And it was so momentous for me. It was so, I can't begin to tell you, it was one of those Sundays, where, Sundays. So anyway, and since then, you sent thank you notes to all of us, and you sent me a second one, and you said, and I've got this, you can sing. Would you sing for us at this Poets Laureates of Ontario thing? And we did that. It was so amazing. And so ever since then, I'm honored to say that we've done tributes to Leonard Cohen at the Reference Library and exceeded all seating capacity. Room capacity was 90. We garnered 150. It was amazing.
People were everywhere.
Everywhere,
That's right. Yeah.
everywhere. So anyway, having said all of that, and just before George regales you and me again, I want to introduce to you this area's riding is Toronto St. Paul's, our member of provincial parliament, Jill Andrew. So anyway, and yes, it's true, for those of you that read Facebook, I am going to get her and all of you to sing with me if possible, because I found some great political music written by Bernice Regan Johnson.
Oh yeah, okay.
Ella's
Sweet
song?
Honey in the Rock.
Ella's song.
Ella's song.
Yeah.
That's
You know
it.
Ella's
I
song?
don't know it, but I'm
No,
gonna
I
learn
don't know it.
today.
I don't think I know it.
You'll hear it. It's just, it's, you know what, it's
Sweet Honey in the Rock.
And on that word, everybody, George Elliott Clarke.
Honey, thank you. That was a great introduction. And let me get my materials ready here. Okay. It's a great privilege and honor and wonder and miracle to be here to take part in Literati. I'm very happy to be able to do so, and in fact, this is my first time to do a reading, public reading that's not on Zoom, for many months. Many months. So I'm a bit rusty, in other words, what I'm trying to say. I'm not used to it at all right now. I've gotten more used to getting all the lighting set up for the Zoom encounters every now and then. I'm happy that I've been able to do that. But it's a great pleasure to be able to read in public, out in the open air. Wonderful! Without having any other medium intervening. So I'm going to read a couple pieces from this book, which is Canticles 2. These are rewrites of scripture, mainly Hebrew, and just basically my own rewritings of the Bible as I've chosen to feel it. Please don't be concerned about anything that sounds blasphemous, because it really is just my applying free verse to biblical writ and letting whatever happens happens. But I do think that I have followed more or less the grand contours of what is written in the book, and so on. So I'll try to read from this. Yeah, it's. I always like to say, look, if you get upset by anything here, remember it's not really me. It's actually there. It's actually in the Bible. So you get upset with whoever's responsible for that text. But before I get started reading, I should also just mention this CD, which I recorded with three cousins and a friend last year. Came out last year, April 2019. It's the Afro-Métis Nation, and we call ourselves that because we are Black and also Indigenous from Nova Scotia. And on my side of, in terms of myself, I have Cherokee on my mother's side and Micmac on my father's side, as well as African American, West Indian, and God knows what else in me. But we thought it'd be a good idea to put together this CD where we could explore our roots and our different kinds of music and so on, and just put it out there. And there have been a couple of really fine reviews. And the title is Constitution. If you want to look it up, the Afro-Métis Nation, Constitution. It is available free. You can download it free from Bandcamp and so on. But if you want to get the nice plastic shrink-wrapped cardboard edition, so to speak, with a nice little CD inside and the lyrics, it's only $20. But I don't have any other copies with me today, but I do want you to know about this.
Well,
So
you know what? Give it to Jill, and I'll get another one from you.
Absolutely not, honey. You are the host of this fantastic event. I will buy my copy and I will find you for you to sign it.
all right, thank you.
Don't
Thank
you
you,
want
Jill.
to buy it right now?
I have no cash on me.
Okay.
In
I
that
was coming to
case,
the park.
All right.
I don't
And while we're talking about cash
think you.
and so on, I'll mention I do have copies of this book available for sale. Only $20, cash only. But anyway, all right. So let me get into the reading, and as I say, I'm giving myself all kinds of excuses about not being used to reading anymore, which is really strange. But anyway, let me well, I may as well just read a few pieces from the Song of Solomon, which, if you know that book, it really isn't Solomon's song. The song belongs, most of the lines in that biblical work belong to the bride, not to Solomon. She's doing most of the singing, actually, along with the daughters of Jerusalem, who are the chorus. And Solomon actually, he has some great lines, but even though the work is named for him, the bulk of the utterances of the speaking is from her, which is interesting to note. Sorry.
Did you have a name?
Yeah. What's her?
Just a funny spin.
Yeah, I think it's Sheba.
I think so.
Yeah, it is. It's Sheba. That's right.
Oh yeah.
All right. So this is the bride speaking Solomon 1, and this is the bride speaking Sheba, and she says, "Let fiddles melee, if melodious, not defective, and thus finesse our affection. Consume sweet potato and his kisses, I relish North Carolina sweet potato pie, we, and his French kisses, we, all quite kosher in the embouchure. His tongue drips honey into my mouth, thus gilding molasses. So lascivious is his tongue, stabbing the last shred of wine. But a dust bowl is my palace in his absence. My bath is a vinegared dowsing in his absence. Geez, my maids, nymphs lust for him, for his sweat's pearly liqueur when flickering in candlelight. I am black and beautiful, O ye daughters of music, like indigo, indignant with ebony, like onyx, optimized obsidian. Let none brand me as nightmarish just 'cause the sun's lavished upon me its varnishing and ravishing rays. The soul of sunflowers be my essence, the summation epitome of every pitched blaze. Where my Lord was born is where ears solvent with gold. Oh, let me never be ousted from his gaze. Insatiable is my beauty to be apprehended. Most preeminent of all Eve's daughters, how I love our froth, our solid steam." This is the bridegroom speaking. "The smear of cream as our bodies tangle, devilishly angelic and blissfully hellish. Thy breast's proud jets compose a skyline sculpted in sable." And back to the bride. And she says, "Our lovemaking is our bodies winching through unflinching musk, enough to make any voyeur swoon. Spy our slanting couple aboard a canting bid, when thy creamy stick stirs my brown sugar." The bridegroom speaks again and he says, "How beautiful thou art, my darling, how stainless thou art, like sunlight. Notwithstanding death, yet our bid is spicy furnishing, snuggling us where we lie as melodramatic as diamonds, in no spectral opulence." So they're off to a good start. So I'll continue with the Song of Solomon. This is number 2, chapter 2, and the bride is speaking again. "Light's aroma, that's me. A serene mirror set amid rubble but reflecting only the sun, so is my love derisive of rivals. Stern sunlight driving off a blizzard, so is my beloved vis-a-vis Don Juan pests. Rouse me with chilling, glacier-born waves, spiky saline whiffs, lest I drowse, narcotized by love. My man's as steady as salt, shaken free, falling, and I'm as juicy as a frothing, just bitten apple. O ye daughters of Jerusalem, I charge ye, do not press my beloved with tasks, never must ye distract him from my bid. As steady as butter, melting and skidding across a skillet, so is my beloved as spry and as sizzling and as steamy as an ember gone as limber as a spark. My beloved is like a chevalier, a poet. He harries incorrect newsprint. He erases doubtful statistics. Never are his verses greasy, sugary, fatty, cheesy, salty, or buttery. Never are they mushy, porridge, a hash. My beloved spake last night saying, nomadic snow is gone, and plum-like clouds are set to douse branches with a resurrection of blossoms. Oh, my poet, my ally, my prayerful bard. Thou art in and out of favor, in and out of print. But let me hear thy words tenored with gravitas, and they're as stately and unalterable as Gibraltar. Let us sort out gardeners from grave keepers, though both are tough-minded as gangsters. My beloved is my lover, I'm his companion, his wife. He drowses within my light, black light that is jet against his skin, until dawn uprises and shadows turn as phantasmal as recollected flames. Oh, my beloved, succor me. Wow. I think that's what God meant. I think that's what was intended. I'll read another one more from the Song of Solomon, and this is the bridegroom speaking, or starting, and it's the last chapter, chapter 8, and he says, "If I can't lap thy breast like I did my mama's, my head scrunched betwixt and crippled is my tongue. I want to kiss each avidly, equally, so neither fears despise. I'll suckle at thy tits, my head swiveling, my mouth dribbling upon each emphatic nipple." The bride speaks, "Prego, geyser-loving spritzers of juices while our eyes collide, as in a Picasso. Thy sinister hand should be dexterous at my breast, and thy dexterous hand should be sinister at my crux. O ye daughters of Jerusalem, let the king be as married and or as bachelor as a Catholic priest, so long as he cometh unto and into me until the sun lifts and dew latches dawn. Who wants to pass up sugar? Not he who crosses a bridge of dew, to kiss me among grapevines at daybreak, who campaigns restlessly, who attacks quietly like a thief when the moon's high, who to dramatize his heart presses his face betwixt my thighs. When we two are one, our love-making doubles our lungs, and we count only by our breaths, via inhalation, exhalation, interrupted only by fevers, those paroxysms, those haltings. Love is a benevolent war in which all parties surrender pronto." The bridegroom speaks again. Thy little sis be as homely as a crucifix. She mopes, who will love her? She whose wealth and progeny seem prone to vanish into dirt. The bride speaks again, and she says, "If she be as gritty as a cemetery, we'll enclose her with off-kilter sunflowers, saluting, serenading her like troubadours. If I, husband, am myself a welling grave, it's due to thy persistent trenching, seeding my carnal resurrection. Erect your headstone when our firstborn arrives, to honor humility. But always, sweetie, let's rut, thy dick mutinous and my glutinous quaint. Inside my womanhood husband, a shape now thickens, whose bickering palpitations tick-tock, the open-ended repetition of birth, death, birth. Haste to me, my husband, and be thou eager to ramble among my sunflowers and pears, and sample my spices, and trample down the bramble to pour thy milky jam." So
Sounds yummy.
it just speaks to me, you know. I think it's accurate, more or less.
Way more interesting. I like this modernizing.
I'm going to read now Ecclesiastes 12, which is one of my favorite verses in Hebrew scripture. So here it is. "Remember thy Creator when light shaves night down to lightening, abrasively albescent, and when daylight coins priceless radiance expansive as diamond slabs of waves. Before arrives always unseasonable murk, such dinky shining when thou shalt say, this life is shadows. When each lover's not yet nailed down to a mirror, crucifix of flesh, nor brutality conducted as a tax write-off, nor the sun merely act a second-rate moon. The lying theologians stutter, the true ones mutter, blunder upon blunder is government. Sorry, Joel, it doesn't include you. But I will repeat it. Blunder upon blunder is government.
I'm official opposition.
All right. Excellent, excellent. Push through darkness. Anchor thyself to light. The future's quixotic and chaotic. It feels tremors, quakes, shivers, phantasms. Inferior roads end in sinkholes. The rat is slave to the granary. And the daughters of music chant under jostling seagulls and ravens beside bunched up hunchbacked seas. Furthermore, men fear thunder rumbling across skies, while the dead enter sealed blackness and mourners wheeze like exhausted winds. Best honor God before winds smuggle hurricane and tempest into gardens, or the birth canal leaks pus. I shan't offend the guilty, but must remind them that their bones will sink in dark mire, the absolutism of dung. The refusenick be as unhealthy as germs. Health outshines gold. To be bust, bankrupt, but robust, best lying sick abed in a castle with sycophants counting thy shriveling breaths. To be wise is to be aggravating breathlessly, to insist on the consequences of roots, to know that worms encompass our pates. Before a single word is written, the inkwell is just like high water huddled behind a dam. The wise are as jarring as tsunamis, each word they speak's a disarming jolt. Beware, books are the unlovely sediment of blackboard minds, of ink-sodden slaves, all that surface tension oil and unfathomable clotted mire. The conclusion? Contemplate thy ebbing breaths. Note how thy goblets have always been shallow. Remember that God permits no smudged visibility, but glares through dirty solstice every turfed up flame where volcanoes bask. The pumice sea, enunciated torrents become seas, dragnets of fog, highland smoke, and the difficult light of the ginger tint moon to bring every deed, every thought into judgment. And I'm going to, thanks for that amen.
Wonderful, Ruthie. Ruthie Jenkins, did you meet?
Yes.
Wonderful. Sorry for interrupting.
Just a moment ago. No, it's all good. Okay. I'm going to end up one more piece, one more alteration of scripture, modernization if one prefers.
Another sex oriented. Sorry. No, I didn't say that.
Is this book available in all the hotel rooms yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be a good deal. That would be an excellent
Well, you
deal.
got this drawer and then there's this
Right?
drawer.
What a great idea to
Yeah,
have poetry.
beats at Gideon's Bible. Anything.
Sorry, as I say, I haven't read in a long time. I should have prepared a little bit better today. But I know there's a piece in here that's about damnation, which is always good to have in mind, just whenever necessary. Well.
Take your time.
You'll be damned if you
Oh,
don't
thanks.
Like that.
Thanks.
Maybe it's under D.
I used to know exactly where it was. I know it's number 28, so maybe I'll find it now. Number 28. Oh, yes, okay. Yeah, I found it, but you know what? I think I'm going to read this one instead. It's shorter. It's number one, experience. And this is supposedly just an imagined series of proverbs. Number one, experience. History is nothing like what is reported. Hard to drain light from mud. Trumpets don't usher in heaven. Truth blinds, but deceit dazzles. Flames that don't gleam are smoke. Manure concocts gardens. Eden flowers from the cesspool. Fine wine refines urine. Politics is prejudice. I'm going to say that again and again. Jill is accepted from this pronouncement. Politics is prejudice. All capital letters. Behind these black letters, white bone, invisible breath. Bread is eternal, but your words, question mark. Thank you so very, very much for your kind attention. Someone letting me try to read this afternoon after a long time not reading. And one more time, I do have copies available, just a couple, $20, cash, please, if you're interested. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so very much. I honestly didn't want you to stop, you know?
I know.
But again, thank you. Oh, Ingrid! Oh my gosh, Ingrid, come closer. These are the wonderful people that take care of the community garden. They grow food right there. Why don't you come closer? All right. So you know, I'll tell you, this whole thing started because, I mean, this whole me being here and doing this with all of you started because I live in this riding, in this political riding, and Jill sends out newsletters every day, and I like to know about my neighbors, you know? I really need to know about my neighbors because, you know, we're living in a pandemic, and if I don't get information, you know, I may not have the best kind of behavior. So anyway, well, I'm not going to explain that, Ruthie, but, you know, just take it any way you like. So Jill started this program with one of the neighbors to do a food giveaway. And it started over at Bathurst in St. Clair, sort of, and I drove by and I stopped and we spoke and the food was beautiful. And I actually took some. And I said to Jill that I believe that it is just as good to receive as it is to give. And that took me decades to learn. Because most people, I believe, are taught that it is better to give than to receive. And there came a point in my life when I thought, well, why? I mean, why can't I learn how to receive? So when you did that, I had to, and when you let me take all that beautiful food, I had to volunteer, and eventually I was posted to that table over there. And I started having these conversations with our neighbors about, you know, have some food. Oh, no, I don't need it. I said, it's not about need. It's about building community. You know, can we learn how to give and take, and can we use food as the language that we do it? And so some people talk to me. So Robert says, one auspicious Saturday, Robert says, what can we do to get you involved in the garden? And I said, well, what does it take? And he said 2 hours a week. And I went, oh my God, that's too much. So I can't, you know, I can't be a volunteer. And he said, well, what can we do to get you involved? I said, let me create a little festival. And so here we are because of you, Robert. So thank you. This is Robert Joseph. Thank you. So anyway, I think while you're all here, we've got the best audience. And if you want to join us, I wish you would. We're going to sing. Because I promised Jill, I'm political. I'm going to get that right out there in the front. If you can't handle it, I respect you. Show some respect for me, please. Because I am political. It's all about people. You know, that's all it is people and opinions and differences of opinions and patience. It's all those P words, or as singing teachers call them, plosives. song. About 50, 60 years ago, there was a whole other kind of war. It was a war in North America where my generation was starting to look at one another and saying, what are we doing? And we expressed ourselves as uniquely as we all could, except everybody practically was doing it. There was the long hairs and the short hairs. And it really did something to my sense of fashion to have, people thought of in terms of haircuts. So, this brilliant woman named Bernice Regan Johnson, do you feel like singing?
I'll try.
Thank you very
You want
much.
to sing?
We'll share. We can share.
You'll share?
Girl,
Anybody else? Going once? Okay. All right. Here you go. So Ruthie, does everybody know Ruth Jenkins? The brilliant Ruth Jenkins? She saved my life.
Oh.
On March 13th this year, my calendar was filled with festivals and this and teaching and traveling to October. And in one day, my whole schedule stopped. And I had to learn to be a surfer girl, to really learn how to ride the waves. And I was okay for the end of March, April, and then by the end of April, I couldn't sing with people. I could sing on Zoom, and we did that often. And I just thought, I'm gonna die if I don't sing, and this was serious. So I phoned Ruth, and I've been singing together for years. She's an amazing musician, very underrated, I'm happy to say, otherwise it would go to her head.
So we meet at this park, St. Clair West and Bathurst across the Loblaws, jam.
Yeah.
Wells
Or
Hill.
whoever's
I
interested.
sprained my ankle there last year. I know it well.
Really?
Oh, you won't talk about sprained ankles. So anyway, so this song written at least 60 years ago is as relevant today as it was then. And it goes like this. This is all your part. Oh, Norm! Excellent. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Okay, that's your part. Got it? In any kind of tonality you like. However, we who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Until the killing of black men, black mothers' sons, is as important as the killing of white men, white mothers' sons. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. That which touches me most is that I had a chance to work with people, passing on to others that which was passed on to me. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. To me, young people come first. They have the courage where we fail. And if I can but shed some light as they carry us through the gale, we who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom The secret of my going on is when the reins are in the hands of the young who dare to run against the storm.
We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes.
Struggling myself don't mean a whole lot. I've come to realize that teaching others to stand up and fight is the only way my struggle survives.
We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes.
I'm a woman who speaks in a voice, and I must be heard. At times I can be quite difficult. I'll bow to no man's word.
We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes
again.
We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. We who believe in freedom. We who believe in freedom. We who believe in freedom. We who believe in freedom cannot.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you. Bernice Regan Johnson. Woo, woo. Bernice Johnson Regan,
Wow.
sorry.
Why do you call it Ellis song? You know why?
Sweet Honey in the Rock.
Yeah.
Yes,
why it's called
yes, yes, because one of the women of the civil rights movement was Ella Baker.
During the debate, it said the words that are
So,
words are okay.
why don't you play for us? Everybody, I have the honor of introducing to you Harpin Lucien. I forget what you wrote on your bio thing. I just know that we met at OCAD. He was a student and I was a guest, whatever. And somehow or other, when I was singing in the same place that Ruth and I go to, the Bad Albert's Coffee House, Norm came and remembered my presentation. And anybody who pays that much attention is somebody really worth listening to. So, with utmost respect, absolute, and much gratitude, Harpin Norm Lucien.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was great. I was quite impressed. I was working on writing poetry back then myself, and just some of the sound stuff, too shy to really go out and do anything. Well, I did anyway. So when she came in, it was quite mind opening. You know, a lot of scat singing that she was doing. That's part of what I remember. But I can't remember the professor's name.
Tom Dean.
Dean. I knew Tom. Yes, I remember Tom. But I remembered her the whole time.
Well, that's amazing. Oh my God, that's amazing.
And Tom's gone on. Well, Tom's gone on. There's all these fabulous sculptures around town and stuff. A lot to do with them. So this is outside a community garden, and which is terrific, and really believe in that. My wife and I over here, we have a farm, and certainly got a lot of vegetables.
Why did you introduce me? It's fine. Sorry.
Zainab.
Sorry.
I should. This is Ruth. Okay. So we actually we had a well on the farm, but it was in pretty pretty old and disrepair and not very deep, and so we really kind of know what it's like to not have water or to have very little water and have to be very careful about it. So and then one year we finally dug a well, and it was just like amazing when the water started coming up. It was like, oh my God. And praise God. Yeah. Anyway, always been involved in that stuff. So in trying to protect water and resources, and interested in food and keeping it healthy. This song I wrote, I had written some political songs, and this one, and well, it goes on and on and on. So this one I wrote, and about a week after, right? It's called Food and Water First. So the idea is that we really should take, if we do anything, we plan to develop anything, almost any move we make, we should think in terms of how that affects our food and how that affects our water, because quite frankly, we don't have food and water, we have nothing. Well, maybe something, yeah, but really, like, how long do you think you can last without water? And if you find the spirit moves you to sing along, just jump right in. Like harmonica over there. Well, it's food and water first, for better or for worse. Where do I begin? Isn't blowing in the wind. It's standing right in front of me, at least as far as I can see. It's food and water first, for better or for worse. It's food and water first, for better or for worse. It's time to make a stand before we ravage all the land. Destroy all the water and life won't be worth a bother. It's food and water first, for better or for worse. It's food and water first, I hunger and I thirst. If we don't protect our assets, they'll all slip through our hands. This land was made for you and me, and not the whims of industry. It's food and water first, for better or for worse. What good is economy when it is based on me? What good is desecration as far as the eye can see? How will we bend the story when we tell our kids we're sorry? Didn't put food and water first, for better or for worse. Food and water first, for better or for worse. The answer, my friend, isn't blowing in the wind. It's standing right in front of me, at least as far as I can see. It's food and water first, better or for worse. And if you, well, this is no doing of my own, but if you want to know more about Food and Water First and the whole movement, just go online, type in Food and Water First, and there's a whole website and there's a whole movement all throughout Southern Ontario. And you'll see the signs all over here and there. So I wrote this song, and then like literally a couple weeks later, oh my God, you know, they were a group that was fighting against the mega dump, the huge mega quarry that was happening up in Dufferin County, and so it was fighting that as well. We were fighting that, and I had written, "We don't need no mega quarry. We don't want no mega quarry" song, and then this one came about, and somewhere in there they had mentioned something about food and water, and I said, "Oh, I like that, food and water." And, anyway, yeah, good. Oh, do you want another?
Oh yeah.
Okay. How many want another? Keep clapping while I drink. Don't want to eat any silent mode, you know, no silence here, just in case we're on the radio.
Yeah.
Change this down. I'm going down to B flat harp anyway, if you want to, whatever you want to play with. B flat harp or something, A or something. A flat, yeah. So. Where am I? Hitting the wrong ones, that's what I'm doing.
Any gigs on?
Sorry?
Any gigs?
This one. No, that's well, actually, what am I up to? I could talk about what I'm up to.
Yes, you should.
Okay, let me do that. Now let me see. I'll look in here and see. I'll tell you about the past and the future. This is my first CD. It's called "The World's Strongest Man." And of course, you can put it in brackets. I wish. But it's not about being the world's strongest man, even though there's a little guy lifting weights. It's obviously about saving the planet and saving and taking care of everybody, and just being strong and loving. And then right now what I'm doing is I'm working on my second CD, which is I haven't actually established a date yet because I want all the million little things to be in place, because there's trying to do this yourself, man. It's like, well, you must know, you've got our CDs doing that. And it's so anyway, it's coming out within the month, within about a month. So, and it's going to be called "Close to the Flame." Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Sounds poetic.
Yeah, it's about driving an old pickup truck and just having a lot of fun with family and just doing things that are a little bit outrageous, but you know what? It's called life, and it's called exuberance in life, and living close to that flame, that light. But this one, the last song is actually from an old EP, which may eventually come out on a CD somewhere along the line. It's funny how these things work, you know. But anyway, this song is on this song I'm singing. It's on the CD. It's called "It's a Wonderful, Wonderful Life," and I literally wrote it walking in the fields out on the farm. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. Walking in the fields on this God-given day. Sun pours down and the mist melts away. Birds all singing a cacophony. Gifts of life are all around me. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. We rise and strive to meet our every need. We gather stones in our infinite greed. But if we live our life sharing, we would have everything we need, more than we need. And the poor would not always be amazed. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. Ruth Jenkins. Spontaneous as she is. Beautiful, thank you. Because it's a wonderful, wonderful life. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. I can tell you're singing back behind there. Walking in the fields in this God-given day. Sun pours down and the mist melts away. The birds are singing a cacophony. Gifts of life are all around me. Gifts of life surround me. It's a wonderful, wonderful. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. Let me hear you. You're all wonderful in it. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. All right, you people sing and I'll play. Ruth and I will sing. Ruth and I will play. You all sing. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. You can find me at harpinnorm.com.
All right.
www. Just type in Harpin Norm. It's all over the place.
Well, I
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. Are you kidding? You know, when I hear songs like It's a Wonderful, Wonderful Life, I really have to check my, what you call optimism.
Oh, for sure. That's why there's two parts to that song. You hear the first part where everything's just wonderful out in nature, and then there's the part where I get pissed off and I talk about everybody just striving and so much greed and taking everything they want, and then I go back to, you know, it is a wonderful life. You have to work to keep it that way.
That's right, it's the word. You know, so when I hear songs like yours, I'm reminded that I just can't be relaxed.
Oh, I see. I talked too soon. That was good. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's my turn, and like you, George, I put stuff out, but I didn't really plan anything. At some point, I won't take your attention for too long, but at one point, I would like to sing a tribute to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and I'd like to do it in Aramaic, which is the language of Jesus. But anyway, and because it's Jewish people believe that people, in this case the notorious RBG, when they die, when Jewish people die just before sunset of the evening of New Year's, they're called a tzedakah. And that means, it's hard to translate, but it's a holy person, it's a person who deserves reverence. My father and I used to argue about this, because my father was a Jewish scholar, and then he got this daughter who became Buddhist, and it was very difficult for him. But he used to say to me that Jewish people survive because they can outlast suffering. And I said, that's not a heritage I want, you know? I don't want to suffer. And he said, to be a good Jew, you really have to endure. And I thought, oh my God, if that's not guilt enough, what am I going to do? You know, I don't want to suffer. So anyway, I write things like this. This is one of my totally favorite pieces. And my dear friend, Bill Bissett, copied this and gave this out as a gift to everybody who came to the Secret Handshake Art Gallery, which is a gallery that serves artists who have been diagnosed with schizophrenia. And so everybody who came, they got a gift. And this was Bill's idea, it certainly wasn't mine. And I call it Make Uncertainty Your Ally. And we've had discussions about this because it made you uncomfortable, and I went, good.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Right, with a lot of people around this.
So it goes, Make Uncertainty Your Ally. It was written August the 6th, 2019, inspired by the courage and death of Toni Morrison. Quote, make uncertainty your ally, unquote, a wise man once said. And I took those words as if they were a skein of yarn, knitted them into a cloak, wrapping my dilemmas in its warmth. For that, I am grateful. The words, the warmth, the hope, and in hours and in moments of quiet desperation, I thought I would lose that thread and it would all unravel, but it didn't. And for that I am grateful. A caring friend called, another sent a letter, each knowing that I mattered to them. Yet I saw the darkness and cried, where is the light? Where is my light? And then I let the thread go like a balloon, sailing in the air, or a kite ready to be liberated. At first it felt like a leaf floating, relieved of being part of a tree, and then it felt like anguish, the uncertainty of the unfamiliar. A voice, a message sails on the wind, crying, reach for grace, the dignity of imperfection, be grateful. You have touched the face of boredom, and boredom would torture you. Boredom would torture you. You came close and then you veered. Uncertainty did that for you. There is more to life than being certain. there is hope, a dream yet to be discovered. You cannot do it when you are assured. It must be done when you need an ally. Know that they are there, all your allies. They are hidden in the invisible uncertainty. Be grateful, walk in dignity, have hope. Let the dream find you. You got rid of what didn't serve you. The smile will come. Your heart will fill with gladness. This is the promise of time. It is yours. Look no longer at what doesn't serve you. Go forth. Be grateful. Be. Anyway, that was, to me, my little thing. It's okay. I come from classical music background, and you don't applaud until there's three. You have to do three pieces before the audience applauds. At least that's the way it was at the conservatory, So I'm used to it, and I like when there's deep thinkers. Oh, anyway. So this one is my kind of favorite, sort of, these days. All things considered, every road leads to the mask maker. Life in a pandemic. Quote, hope is definitely not the same thing as optimism. It is not the conviction that something will turn out well, but the certainty that something makes sense regardless of how it turns out. Václav Havel, former Czech president. All things considered, I'm okay. On Friday, March the 13th in the morning, my calendar was filled to October. By Friday, March the 13th in the evening, all but 2 appointments remained, including one dental. Cancellation after postponement like dominoes, one after the other. All my work and social projects fell. This was the start of the lockdown. Life in a quarantine pandemic. I didn't panic. I felt as if I was suddenly, unexpectedly, in some kind of tsunami, and the only way out was to swim. Like many people, I was ignorant of the oncoming pandemic. Like some people, I went into surfer girl mode, riding the waves, especially the waves of anxiety that comes with isolation. And like some very good surfer girls, I adapted to the waves, balancing my power to the wave power, rode them, moment by moment, wave by wave, giving myself chores. Write a daily diary, learn a new word each day, play the game of colors. Each day find things that are orange or green, or the next day purple, or the next, etc. Sing Bob Dylan's Lay Down Your Weary Tune, and when the waves of fear hit, chant, breathe, stretch, pace, say it's okay, and do not ever think of the future, just the moment, just the now. I'm told I'm in a vulnerable age group, the older woman, the hippie survivor, thus one of the ones that have to stay sheltered, not going out unless it's necessary. Emphasize, stay home, wash hands, don't touch face, get fat, eating wonderful food and watching TV or some such. When I opened the pack, I thought, oh, did I skip something? Just a sec. Oh, here it is. I skipped something. I'll come back to that later. Okay, so wash hands, don't touch face. I don't feel I'm an oldster. I've attracted a younger man into my life. It's not a thing, but a realization of my energy, life force. I was in school when JFK was shot. I saw the Beatles change history on the Ed Sullivan Show. I heard Bob Dylan get booed when he switched from acoustic to electric. I saw Timothy Leary tell my generation to turn on, tune in, drop out. And I did. I witnessed history unfolding. The Berlin Wall falling, the Vietnam War ending, the greed of capitalism rising, Israel, Egypt, and the Palestinian Liberation Organization together won Nobel Prizes. And all the while I'm saying, may we grow to understand the harm of our ignorance. All things considered, it is now several months of a pandemic and I'm okay. I feel healthy and ambitious and hopeful, and just like the cultural revolution of the 1960s, it was the artists, all genres of the arts, who led the way. Now it is time to redesign and acknowledge fashion. Music fashions, dancing, visuals, and of course, wearables. What to wear, how to wear, what we need to wear, and especially how to be dauntless in wearing what we need to wear, like, ta-da, face masks. The first item on the agenda. Most of my adult life, I've worked towards bringing attention to the older woman's visibility, viability. It is the face that reflects images, judgments, histories, biases, warmth, and reflections of oneself. This socialist virus took it all away, making everyone's eyes the true expression of personality, giving the eyes uncommon attention and responsibility. Marcia, my goddaughter, is a brilliant artist. Using some of her time to make masks, I asked for one, imploring, mask maker, make me a mask, find me a style, sew me some kind. She sent 3 and a bonus for quarantine using anime creatures to emphasize stay home, wash hands, don't touch base, get fat, eating a wonderful food, and watching TV at sunset. When I opened the pack, I thought there must be some mistake, because these look like men's athletic cups, the kind that have a sort of pouch. I was a bit reluctant to put it on my face, the implication being that I was putting a penis protector on my nose. I got over my trepidation. I got over my trepidation quickly, as the health officials are constantly entreating all humans to wear masks. I acquiesced, got rid of my imaginative musings, and put it on. Marcia's masks fit and are so well designed that someone commented on the beauty of the design and the elegant craftsmanship, helping me get over my chagrin as I wore one to the supermarket. These masks are reversible, washable, perfectly sewn, and I might add, stylishly trade chic. One is made from the cloth of 2 images, another Munich black with tourmaline blue, and another kind of lilac purple with flowers, but no red, as in redress. All things considered, I'm okay. This is the new normal of spring 2020. Those of us lucky enough to have a computer can check in with friends or Zoom meetings or sing poetry or write lyrics and pay homage to the turning tides of the COVID-19 pandemic. Words help words smooth, but images tell stories. This one honors the face mask, obliterating the facial image, yet keeping me and all my fellow humans safer. All things considered, I'm okay. May you be okay and safe and smiling with that little bit of hope safely hidden in that extra space sewn in the splendor of your face mask. As an afterthought, the words of Pete Seeger seem to be timely and significant. And he said, words are good, and words help us become the leading species on Earth to the point where we are now ready to wipe ourselves off the Earth. But I think that all the arts are needed, and sports too, and cooking and food and all these different ways of communication. Smiles, looking into eyes directly, all these different means of communication are needed to save this world, but certainly a great melody. So I would like to sing in tribute to the notorious RBG. The words are, goodbye my dear, it is so good to know you, you have enriched my life. I wrote them in Spanish. The melody, I'll tell you about this melody. This melody is, we inherited it from the Jews of Spain during the Inquisition. And when the expulsion of the Jewish people from the Iberian Peninsula happened, some went north through Europe and landed in Italy, and some went south, like through Morocco, etc. But they always kept this melody, and it was a really embittered kind of love song. And when the person sings "Goodbye, my dear," you know, like how all these insults, like "May you have blood on your feet" and stuff like that. And I just went, I can't sing that. So I took the melody and I wrote my own words, and I wanted to do it in Spanish to honor the Ladino people. Anyway, I'll just sing it. Goodbye, my dear. It is so good to have known you. You have enriched my life. Your mother, when she brought you to this light, she gave you a heart that loves much. Now you seek other passions. Now you knock on other doors. Now you flame other flames. But for me, you exist. If you know the melody, or if you feel like joining me, there's nothing that I love more than to hear harmonies. That's what I was saying about Ruth. By the end of April, I was crazy. How could I sing with people? So I called Ruth. She agreed to meet me socially distancing in Oriole Park, and we started this thing where we do this weekly music every week, and it's kept me alive and it's kept me sane. It's saved my life.
We'll do it again, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, to honor a great king. Adio, adio, querida, de conocerte mi alma, la vida mi enriqueces. Adio, querida, de conocerte mi alma, la vida mi enriqueces. Tu madre cuando te da luz y te trabajando, corazón hecho perdido, para amar mucho. Adio, querida, de conocerte mi amigo, la vida mi enriquece. Adio, querida, de conocerte mi enriquece. La vida mi
Yay.
I kind of saved, just before, Jill, do you want to say anything? Would you like to address us?
I would absolutely like to.
But please, to everybody, everybody knows this is our member of, I keep saying it, our member of
I'll
Parliament,
introduce myself. You've done so much already.
Jill Andrew.
Done so much already. Would you like me to stay here, or would you like me to come over here?
Wherever you want.
I will come over here then, in line with things. So Honey's last performance got me a little teary-eyed. I looked back at my partner and I said, oh boy, I could feel the tears coming. And the reason for that is because this has been a difficult time. Like there's no way of buttering the bread differently. It's been a difficult time for all of us, some more than others. And I have had quite the front row seat of seeing the disparities and the inequities of COVID-19 right here in our community of Toronto St. Paul's. But what I have seen on the other side of that coin what I have seen on the other side of that coin is people who have just risen to the occasion. And it's not to suggest that we haven't been impacted. It's not to suggest that the effects of COVID-19 will not be long-lasting, because I suspect they will. This visitor of ours isn't going away anytime soon. But what I have seen is a resistance and a resilience in our community through the way we have given and received. Thank you, honey, for mentioning the community food tables.
Of course, that's how we got here.
A fantastic initiative which was brought to our office by a wonderful woman, Joanne Vanicola, who is a member of our community and a friend of mine. I first met Joanne maybe 15 years ago when she asked me actually to host an event that she was doing to raise awareness on abuse, in particularly child sexual abuse. That is how we met. As a survivor, I was able to lend my voice to that fight. And here we are with a wonderful community food table idea that myself and my office were then able to grow to 4 tables with the help of folks like Jacob, like Robert Jacob. And where is she? Ingrid.
Where's Ingrid?
She's at the community garden. She never stops working.
There's a library.
Pardon?
A library.
Pardon?
Yeah, there's a library.
No. Community park garden. Yes. But there's been so much more than that. There have been people who have checked in with each other, who have done curbside visits, who have brought seniors food, who have made meals and left them on the doorsteps of those in need, who have checked in on people's mental health, something that frankly we haven't begun to see the impact of COVID-19 on people's mental health. Because I suspect even as we recover, we have to re-embrace what living feels like again. When we get rid of these masks, whenever that is, and when we get rid of these measures of social distance that prevent us from hugging each other outside of our bubble. And I don't know how many of you are social and very tactile and very huggy. I'm a huggable person. It does shift us, doesn't it, when we're unable to connect through physical touch. But again, as I said, our community has risen up to the challenge. I'm also the women's issues critic and the culture critic, if people are not aware, for the official opposition. And we know that women have been disproportionately impacted by COVID-19. But what we also know is, and maybe I'm a little biased here, but the arts, music, theater, spoken word, visual arts, media, this has been what's kept us mentally sound through this entire pandemic. Very early on, artists start springing up. Why? Because their schedules went poof in mid-March. And rather, instead of sitting at home, well, we were all at home, but licking the proverbial wounds of thinking of only oneself, what artists began to do was share their work virtually. hosting online concerts, hosting online readings, volunteering at community food tables, giving their local MPPs ideas to include art in her newsletter.
That's right.
Which we do, and we do every other day now with our newsletter. So I feel like I'm at a loss for words and I'm gonna start rambling. But I say all of this to say, we will get through this. But I hope that in getting through it, we become better. We become better, we do better, we be better, and we strive for that. Not only in taking care of each other, but in taking care of our environment, recognizing how nature has blossomed without our interference over these many months, recognizing the holes we have in healthcare, in education, in housing. Don't get me started on housing and our homelessness crisis across the city. But in food and water. Oh man, food and water. I'll end by saying this. One of the first things that struck me about COVID-19 is that we were told by every elected official, including myself, we were told by every public health official, wash your hands, wash your hands, stay clean, protect yourself. And I immediately thought about Indigenous community members who do not have access to clean drinking water. It's the 21st century, and we need, as a community here in St. Paul's, and everywhere in our province and in our nation, to ensure that Indigenous communities and other groups who are at the margins are not perpetually living pandemics every day of their lives because of systemic oppression. So for those of you, of us, for whom COVID-19 has been the biggest pandemic, and it's unprecedented. I'm not minimizing. We must recognize the pandemics that communities are facing day in, day out, that are absolutely man-made, right, absolutely power-made, and absolutely bent on oppression. And we have to dismantle those systems. And this is our wake-up call. So I hope we're listening. Thank you. Oh, honey.
I know.
This is when I'm giving you the big hug. This is our soul. This is how we hug, folks.
Soul to soul.
Oh, soul to soul, yeah.
Yeah, soul to soul. So last but definitely not least is the woman who has really come every week to sing with me and keep my spirit happening. I don't know what else to say. If you know Ruth Jenkins, no words. If you don't know Ruth Jenkins, talk to me later. But until then, really, she's a master at what she does. And her friends call her a very special angel. Bye, George.
Bye, honey. Thanks so much, everyone. See you again. Stay healthy.
Okay.
Wait, I want to. All right. Sure. Okay.
I got one the last time. I'm building up a collection here.
Oh, okay.
Start playing.
There. It's making quite the impression.
Why don't you ask questions?
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, wait till you guys are here. Well, I mean,
try that, Nora?
No, yeah. Yes, of course.
You were trying to think of something obnoxious to say. Great. So, Honey insisted in her greedy way that I played an original one. Kind of this Caribbean thing I wrote when I was walking in the beaches one summer. Norm, if you want a noodle.
Oh, this is a wonderful song.
Sure. With
Well, more on the guitar.
Oh,
Or it can be harp, whatever you want.
I'm not that kind of
Why don't we get into the sun?
No, do whatever you want. I'm not.
Okay, thank
yeah,
you.
harmonicas. It's very melodic, sort of a Caribbean thing. can do it 2 chords.
What's the name of that song?
Well, it's called "Don't Dream Alone," but people can't hear that part, so they end up calling it "I'll Dry Your Tears." And it's called "Don't Dream Alone."
Beautiful.
Don't ask me why. I don't know.
Yeah, tell her. I tell her
No,
all
it's
the
beautiful.
time.
It just means, maybe we can hang out and go there.
Yeah,
It's poignant today.
unless you have to.
Maybe I'll do a Beatles. It's one of the more, they're early ones from the Music Man. They not stole it, but they borrowed it from the Music Man. And I love it. You'll definitely know the needle on this one.
I can't hear you.
She's talking to me.
Can't
Nora will be able to
Oh, you're
do
talking
it.
to you. Okay.
It was private.
Private conversation.
Musician talk.
Okay.
The musicians never speak clearly.
They just sort of
So Till There Was You, and early Beatles, and Paul McCartney singing it. They did it with a Latin feel. George Harrison does this incredible solo on it. So this isn't that. There were bells on the hill, I never heard them ringing. I never heard them at all till there was you. There were birds in the sky, I never saw them winging. I never saw them at all. I love that one. Yes, it is one.
That baby's at work in the morning.
What's that?
He has work in the morning. They're upset about it.
Anyway, thanks,
That's
guys.
a good set of lungs.
What? Do another one. Like what? That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Honey, Norm is...
Would you like her to do another one?
Oh, would you?
I'd like her to do another one.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, of course. I'm just gonna go sit in the sun if I can.
Well, if you can
find
think
it.
I know, it's getting chilly, right?
Yeah.
I should think before I speak.
Here, sorry. No, it's okay.
I'll fly away. Do people know that one?
Sure, I think everybody knows that.
Okay, so you want to do that? I haven't done that in a while.
Oh, no,
Oh, I can do
I
it.
just remember a long time ago you did that song.
Did everybody see "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou"? It has "I'll Fly Away." Anyway, we're just trying to think of a song to wrap it. Nice goodbye song.
I think I need to be where I can see her.
I'm gonna try D.
Starting on B?
Before you start,
Yeah.
I just wanted to say good night.
Good night, thank you.
Evening. I will come back again and sing, because Honey's going to do this again. You know that.
Yeah,
I will sing next time.
great to meet you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yes,
Thank you.
very well done.
We had so much conversation together. Oh yeah. It was like I love
Jill is going to leave, and she had a request.
Oh,
to
no.
sing
You
for
told
us.
me to stay.
Yes, isn't that Ingrid?
Prayer
That's what
pressure.
Ingrid wants. Yes, pressure. You can handle it. If you can handle what you handle, you can handle that.
Okay, I'll come do something quick. I'm gonna do
It's for Ingrid.
Ingrid, it's for you.
Ingrid takes care of our food community garden.
Woo! Give her a round of applause. And Robert as well.
Ingrid is the force behind it, though. I can't keep up with her.
Let's see. Let me get lyrics. Okay. So, when I was a kid, I absolutely loved Bette Midler's movie Beaches. I loved it for the performance, of course, and I loved it for the very intimate friendship she had with her dear friend. So I'm going to sing Wind Beneath My Wings, which I did not practice. Probably haven't sung it since grade 8. So just bear with me here, okay? And I'm singing a cappella, just as I did the other song at Brentwood Towers. Okay, here we go. Let's do the coat to get some more courage there. Alrighty. It must have been cold there in my shadows to never have sunlight on your face. You were content to let me shine, that's your way. You always walked a step behind. So I was the one with all the glory, while you were the one with all the strength. A beautiful face without a name for so long. A beautiful smile to hide the pain. Did you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I wish I could be. I can fly higher than an eagle, for you are the wind beneath my wings. It might have appeared to go unnoticed, but I've got it all here in my heart. I want you to know I know the truth, 'course I know it. I would be nothing without you. Did you ever know that you're my hero? You're everything I wish I could be. And I could fly higher than an eagle, 'cause you are the wind beneath my wings. Did you ever know that you're my hero? You're everything, everything I wish I could be. I can fly higher than an eagle, 'cause you are the wind, the wind, the wind beneath my wings. From your local MPP, Jill Andrew, official opposition.
Oh, you've got so much courage. Oh my God, hats off to you.
Oh, no.
For people to just get up and sing
Thank
like that.
Karen
That's
Anderson Jackson, my piano teacher from when I was this tall, and Sheila Gattensby, my theater teacher from when I was that tall. I love arts. It saves lives. It absolutely saves
I know,
lives.
and it's the first to go in
Yeah.
school.
And I'm back to Queen's Park tomorrow, so it's going to give me energy.